nettTracker, because consistency matters. With two-way integrations with QuickBooks Online, Sage Cloud Accounting and Xero. This short tutorial is about how we can use nettTracker to adjust for accrued expenses. So within accrued expenses, we'll be creating an accrual group, create the actual accrual, review the projection, process the journals, review the statement, check reconciliations, review any adjustments made in the accounting software, and then we can release the accrual. So in nettTracker, the first thing I need to do is make sure the accruals and prepayments feature has been enabled. In this example, it already has. Now what I need to do is create a group for my accruals. I don't actually have one in place, so in the accruals and prepayments menu, I need to go to the accruals and prepayments group. I've got groups in place for accrued income, prepaid expenses and deferred income. I need to create a group for accrued expenses. So I'll use the new group option. I'll give my group a name. And this is for the type accrued expenses. I can add some extra notes in here if I wish. I'm just going to click OK. Now, in addition to creating the group for accrued expenses, I need to make sure that that particular group is mapped to my balance sheet account. So I need to go to Manage Account Mappings. So this is mapping it to my account in either Xero, QuickBooks Online in this example, or Sage Cloud Accounting. So I'm looking in my drop down, so I'm selecting accrued expenses, check the drop down. I already have a balance sheet account in there for accruals and I'm going to use that. If it were a brand new account, not in existence yet, I can get nettTracker to create one for me. In fact, there's one that I have in testing, got nettTracker to create. If you do have an account created, you'll go to an account with an asterisk and you can edit that account name later. In fact, I will use that one. I'll click next through these other group names which have already been mapped, and I can now finish and save the mapping. So a very common type of accrual can be one for accountancy fees. If generally your accountant produces your set of accounts once a year, you might just receive an invoice once a year. So that might vary. So let's just take that example. So your accountant is likely to invoice you the following year for preparation of the accounts that relate to the current year. I'm going to accrue for those costs. So what I'm going to do is go to my accruals and prepayments and choose to create a new accrual and prepayment. This is going to be for accrued expenses. You can have multiple groups. I'm just using the one there for accrued expenses, and this is going to be called accounting accrual. You can add some further notes if you wish. Check in the drop down. Have I got one in there for accountancy fees? And yes, I have. If I know the date when the accountant is going to invoice me for the fees, then I can enter that, but it's not mandatory, so I'm going to actually leave it blank. If I know it roughly, perhaps I know the exact amount that I'm going to be charged, if it's been agreed, I can enter that. So let's say they're going to charge me 1875 for preparation of the accounts for that year. If I've already got the accrual provided in the balance sheet, I can enter that value. I don't have it in there yet. So what I'm going to do is put in a monthly accrual for the whole of 2021 for 12 months. So this is going to apportion my annual accountancy fee evenly over every single month. So let me just click OK for that. Before we process those accruals, let's just take a quick look at our profit and loss. There are no accountancy charges on there. What I can also see on this profit and loss for advertising and marketing, I've got some costs in May for £500. Let's imagine that I should actually be accruing £100 a month from January through to May. I was just sent the bill a little bit late. So I'll put an accrual in for that as well. Back in nettTracker, I'm creating another accrual. So again, to the same group for accrued expenses, a marketing accrual. I'll put some extra notes in there. Marketing accrual, supplier invoiced in May. It needs to adjust the profit and loss account for advertising and marketing. I know when I'm actually going to receive that cost, so nettTracker is going to reverse this automatically for me. The total amount to be accrued, nothing in the balance sheet. Start the accruals from January 2021 and adjust over 5 months. So I'll click OK to save that. So at that point in time, I've not actually created any accrual adjustments yet. Nothing has been processed. What I'm going to do is just take a quick look at the projections. So if I do go to projections, look at accrued expenses. We'll just change that to 5. So I can see the accruals that I'm expected to run. Now we can do this retrospectively. I've actually already processed depreciation up to the end of October, but it doesn't matter. If I want to go back into the past, I can't go back to a previous financial year, but I can go to right to the beginning of the current financial year, put the adjustments in. So I'm going to have a nice even charge in every single month. And I can see there's my advertising and marketing accrual. And I've got a negative value because I'm going to release the accrual back on that month. So let's go ahead and process those adjustments. So I'm going to head over to the dashboard, request company processing, and in fact I'm going to bring this right the way up to date to the end of this current financial year. So process all of the adjustments that we need, bring it up to date, ready to actually close the year end off. After processing the journals, you can scroll down. You might require a reload. I've already done that here, so I can see that my fixed asset values and balance sheet, they actually agree perfectly. If I scroll down a little bit further, if I've got any balances in place, so I've got no balances in place for prepayments or deferred income, but I do have a balance in place for accruals, and it's just the balance of my accounting accrual. The marketing accrual would have been made and then later released. So it's just the accounting accrual balance I have in there at the moment. If I look at the statement for my accruals, I can change that page sizing. In fact, we can see there the marketing accrual was for £500. It was fully accrued. It was then released. I can see what the monthly charge was and what the current balance is, which is 0. So that accrual has completed. Whereas the accounting accrual, expecting a charge of £1,875, I've accrued it over the 12-month period. And I still have a balance in there. So it's a balance, and I'm holding that balance until I decide to release it. If I take a quick look at the profit and loss for the company, I can see a nice even monthly charge for accountancy fees in the profit and loss. We can also see against advertising and marketing £100 a month all the way through to May after making that accrual adjustment. Okay, I've come back into nettTracker. I've already processed the year end, so now I'm in a brand new financial year of 2022. I'm going to head up to my accruals and prepayments and look at the statement for my accrued expenses. Now we can just see the accounting accrual. The marketing accrual from the previous year that was completed is removed from view. Now all those statements are held for each year, so if I look at the previous year, look at 2021, I would see what's gone in and out of that accrual account over that period. Just bring myself back to this year, 2022. So we have an accrual in place for our accountancy fees. If it's now March, and our accountant has reviewed all of the accounts to December 2021 and he sent the invoice for us, well, what we can do now is release that accrual. So I can go into my little tools option and I can choose to release this accrual to the profit and loss. So instead of me seeing a big charge in there for the accountancy fees, it's going to credit that. I can do a part release. If for any reason he's only invoiced me 50% of those costs, I can actually choose how much I need to release. I'm going to release it as of today's date. Total amount to be released, and I'm going to click OK against that. That accrual has now been completed, the profit and loss credited, and should I need to create another accrual for the new financial year, very easy for me to do so. As with all of the balance sheet accounts that we're making adjustments for, we can check the balance sheet value and compare it to our statement value, where we should never have any differences. So during that short tutorial, we've looked at how we create an accrual group, creating the actual accrual, reviewing the projection of the adjustments that are going to be required. Then we can process those journals, review how the statements look, check reconciliations, and review all of the entries that are made in our accounting software. When necessary, we can release the accrual, or we can select a date when it will automatically be released. nettTracker, because consistency matters. For your fixed assets, depreciation, accrued expenses, your prepaid expenses, accrued income and deferred income. Integrates with QuickBooks Online, Sage Cloud Accounting and Xero. If you would like to learn more, please visit net-tracker.com or contact us support@farscape-applications.com. Thank you for watching.